Everybody's got these questions. Where did Cain get his wives from? Where did all of Adam's children and their children's children get their wives from? And then the question is like, where did all these other people come from? Not too long after this in Genesis chapter 5, lots of stuff going on. Where did all these people come from? Where did they get their wives from? Where did this kind of quote-unquote race come from, or that race come from? I've got a theory that I want to present to you guys. I have never, ever heard anybody teach this theory. Never. Please understand, I'm not presenting this as absolute historical truth. I know this for sure. I'm just presenting this as a possibility. I need to paint a little bit of a background here. The background is this. According to the culture, ancient culture, the Jewish people considered non-Jews to be quote-unquote unclean animals. We see this evident, produced as hard evidence through the Book of Enoch, where we have the nations that surround the Holy Land and different unclean animals that are used to represent those nations. There is an animal that represented the children of Israel, and that animal is the sheep. So when Jesus said, I have come only for the lost sheep of the house of Israel, it wasn't just some nice little figure of speech, but rather it was a cultural norm that they understood the sheep to be different from the dogs, to be different from the wolves, to be different from the hyenas. All these other animals were used as representations for different nationalities. You know where I'm going with this? In Acts chapter 10, we have the vision of Peter. By the way, this was a vision, of course, meaning it was spiritual, not to be taken literally. A vision is figurative, allegorical, metaphorical, symbolic. The sheet was being lowered down in a vision, in Peter's vision. And on the sheet, we have all these unclean animals, and then a voice comes from heaven, kill and eat. And Peter says, absolutely not, of course not. I would never ever do something like that. And then the voice says, that which God has made clean, do not say it's unclean. A lot of Christians think that it's literal, meaning that, okay, now you can eat pork. No. Because after that, it says Peter wondered what that vision meant. He knew it wasn't literal. Later on in that very same chapter, in Acts chapter 10, he told them exactly what it meant. It says exactly what that vision meant. Those unclean animals were Gentiles. And so Peter said later on, God has shown me not to call any man unclean, whom God has made clean. In other words, the Gentiles can be cleaned up. They can be saved. They can be brought into covenant relationship with God. They can become sheep. God also sent an angel to Cornelius, a Gentile. It was Peter's duty to reel in the Gentiles in Cornelius' household. And that's why God used that vision to prepare Peter to preach the gospel to Cornelius and his family. Because Cornelius was a Gentile, unclean animals. Here's my point. According to Acts chapter 10, according to the Tanakh, God called a people who were not a people, my people. What's that mean? If you got a group of people that are not a people, then they're animals, right? But he calls them people, which means that they became people from animals. They went from being unclean animals into being the true sheep of the Lord. So we got historical evidence, we got cultural evidence, we got scriptural evidence that the Gentiles were called unclean animals. They were classified as animals. This is a historical fact. Here's the theory. In day 6 of Genesis chapter 1, it says that God created the animals. Could it be that meant that God created all the different nationalities? Jesus called the woman a dog in the Gospels. Why? Because she was not a Jew. That's why he called her a dog. I'm not going to give the children's bread to the dogs. So if she's a dog, and the dogs were created on day 6 alongside of Adam,